Marjorie Taylor Greene is comparing the death of Ashli Babbitt, one of the Capitol Hill insurrectionists, to the murder of George Floyd. Maybe she makes a good point, who knows? Let's hear her argument.
Babbitt, somehow you two, I think, would have been friends.
I'm sure we would have. She seems like she was a very passionate patriot and a very proud Trump supporter, which I really appreciate that. And she was also a veteran. So I'm thankful for her service to the country. I've already been speaking about Ashli Babbitt. I've also met with her attorneys as well. And I think it's very important for her family to know who killed her, because if this country can demand justice for someone like George Floyd, then we can certainly demand justice for Ashli Babbitt, and everyone deserves to know who killed her, not just seeing a gun and a hand on a video clip.
And look, I think it's fair to ask who killed her, right? I'm sure her family deserves to know, people deserve to know. So let me just note that. And Ashli Babbitt, like, I wish that she didn't die. You know, I wish that she wasn't brainwashed by the garbage online. I wish she wasn't radicalized in the wrong direction. I wish she didn't storm the Capitol with the rest of the insurrectionists that day. I hate that she lost her life as a result of what happened that day. But comparing that to what happened to George Floyd, I would argue is a bit of a stretch, even though both cases are incredibly tragic. Because, well, let's go back to what happened to George Floyd, all right? So on May 25th, Minneapolis police officers arrested George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, after a convenience store employee called 911 and told the police that Floyd had bought cigarettes with a counterfeit $20 bill. 17 minutes after the first squad car arrived at the scene, Floyd was unconscious and pinned beneath 3 police officers, showing no signs of life. And as you all know, by watching that awful footage, Derek Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, prosecutors said, correcting the initial 8 minutes and 46-second timing that has become a symbol of police brutality, which is why Derek Chauvin, by the way, was found guilty of second-degree murder. Now, in the case of Ashli Babbitt, the situation is different. And why do I say it's different? Well, George Floyd wasn't engaging in a violent crime. He wasn't posing an imminent threat to anyone. He allegedly used a counterfeit bill to buy cigarettes. That's not a violent crime. We saw what happened in the nation's capital that day. In fact, let me remind you of what they were also chanting as they were storming the Capitol. Let's watch. It's different. And when Ashli Babbitt was tragically shot and killed, it happened as she was trying to crawl through a broken door window into the area where members of Congress were, where they were trying to certify the election.
Yeah, so look, when the right wing asked for the name of someone because they were super mad at him, that's a dangerous situation because they've shown over and over again propensity to violence. But I definitely agree with Anna. We can't have a police officer shoot someone and no one tells who the officer is. No, that's a government official who took someone's life, and you need to have accountability, and it doesn't matter if it's Republicans or Democrats who were shot, obviously, right? And so they should definitely do it in as safe a way as possible for that officer, but we should know the name, right? We don't want to do anything with the name, and in fact, look, guys, should Ashli, the other thing is, of course I agree with Anna, Ashli Babbitt, it's a tragedy that she died, right? It's a tragedy when anyone dies, and she wasn't the ringleader. She got wrapped up in this thing and thought she was really trying to save democracy by invading the Capitol violently and taking it over. I don't know what they thought they were gonna do after they took it over, other than the people who were chanting "Hang Mike Pence." They definitely knew what they were gonna do, and that's exactly what the police were very justifiably concerned about. And that gets to the point of the massive difference. We should not understate the difference between the George Floyd case and the Ashli Babbitt case. George Floyd, counterfeit $20 bill. So should he have been arrested? Yes. Okay, you can't pay things with counterfeit money, okay? Should Ashli Babbitt have been arrested? Yes, trespassing, violence, etc., right? No question about it, they both should have been arrested. But not only was the George Floyd crime $20, but he was well out of the store. He was hanging out on his car and was not an imminent threat to anyone. And then on top of that, they had him 100% subdued, and everybody's saying he can't breathe, and he's clearly passing out, and he's starting to hallucinate and talking about his mom. The guy's gonna die, and he purposely kept his knee on the neck for over 9 minutes until he was dead. That is a very deliberate act to kill someone, and someone who was no threat at all, right? Arresting him makes sense, killing him made no sense. In Ashli Babbitt's case, that was the last security perimeter. If they had breached that perimeter, they were gonna get to the legislators. And they are chanting about hanging some of the legislators. And by the way, at that point, Pence said, I think I just left that area, the one that they were trying to execute. Yes, and yes, the great irony is, that's Trump's vice president. They were going to murder the Republican vice president, right? Yeah. But yes, they were also looking for Nancy Pelosi and AOC and some of the others, right? So in a situation like that where you have a massive crowd that has already attacked the police, brutalized some of the police, and are in the last security perimeter and are about to overtake the building. That is, in fact, if that was a swarm of black people, Muslim people, they wouldn't have shot at the very last security perimeter. They would have taken a Gatling gun right in the beginning. The minute they breached any kind of perimeter, they would have shot them all, right? So they had every reservation. They held back until, oh no, they're almost at the legislators, and they took action. So if you think those two things are equivalent, you're nuts. They're not anywhere near equivalent.
And to be quite honest with you, Marjorie Taylor Greene should take some responsibility for the propaganda that she spews and the actions that she's taken that encouraged some of what we saw in our nation's capital that day. So let me give you a few reminders. Before Marjorie Taylor Greene was elected into Congress, she decided to harass AOC in person. This was a video that was released fairly recently. It's from 2019, again, before she was elected, and she goes to the Capitol to attempt to harass and spy on AOC.
You want to talk to Crazy Ocasio? You come to this little thing and you open it up and you whisper into her.
Session.
This is confession. This is Ocasio confession right there.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I'm an American citizen. I pay your salary through the taxes that you collect from me through the IRS because I'm a tax-paying citizen of the United States. I'm a woman, I'm a female business owner, and I'm proud to be an American woman. And I do not support your socialist policies, and I do not support your murderous abortion policies. As a mother of 3 children, I'm appalled at New York's law for abortion, and it needs to end and it needs to stop now. You're bringing God's judgment on our country, and I'm against it, as well as my friends. So you need to stop being a baby and stop locking your door and come out and face the American citizens that you serve. If you want to be a big girl, you need to get rid of your diaper and come out and be able to talk to the American citizens.
And remember, Cori Bush had to change her office to a different location because Marjorie Taylor Greene was harassing her. Cori Bush moves office after being berated and targeted by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then one final example for you guys. When she went after David Hogg on the streets after he had just witnessed his friends get gunned down in his own school. Let's watch.
David, why are you supporting the red flag laws? If Scott Peterson, the resource officer at Parkland, had done his job, then Nicholas Cruz wouldn't have killed anybody in your high school, or at least protected them. Why are you supporting red flag gun laws that attack our Second Amendment rights? And why are you using kids to get as a barrier? Do you not know how to defend your stance? So I'm walking. He's got nothing to say.
I mean, anyway, look, having these political discussions or debates is fine. It's the way in which she does it, and it just green lights harassing behavior in the very least. So the people who stormed the Capitol that day really thought they were in the right. They thought that they were protecting democracy. They had been spoon-fed over and over again this notion that the election was stolen from Donald Trump and they needed to take democracy back. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was part of that narrative.
Yep, serious point and a lighter point. Serious point is that, look, would she have been friends with the person who breached the security perimeter at the Capitol after breaking in and participating in a riot? Well, you saw it with AOC. She said, you're doing a murderous policy and you're inviting God's judgment. Why is your door locked, right? These are, I mean, she might have said it in with a weird Joker-like cackle, but those are very threatening things. And so, and then, why are you trying to take my Second Amendment rights away? What are you talking? The guy had his friends murdered with a gun. That might have something to do with it. So she's a human life troll. But we're gonna keep it a little bit lighter in the bonus episode. Every day we do a bonus episode for the members. You can hit the join button below on YouTube or tyt.com/join, because we're gonna talk about how Marjorie Taylor Greene is in a pillow fight with Mike Lindell. They disagree about Trump being reinstated. That's a hilarious story. So check that out if you're a member in our bonus episode today. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.